It's the final race of the season for the IMSA Prototype Challenge teams and drivers, and in the traditional way, we'll wrap up the season at Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta. This 2.5-mile natural terrain road course is laid out on 750 acres of picturesque landscape, and it offers high speeds, high commitment, and high rewards if you get it right. Hi folks, and welcome to Brazelton, Georgia. I'm Lee Diffie, and this is the IMSA Petit Le Mans weekend. Today, the 6th and final round, the Prototype Challenge Series hits the track. Austin McCusker and Rodrigo Fluker have a firm grasp on the championship with a 27-point lead over Leo Lamelas and Neil Alberico. But don't count out the most recent race winner, Stephen McAleer, who was just 29 points out. And with 35 points on offer today, it's still all to play for. And now for a closer look at Road Atlanta, let's join John Hindhaugh and Jeremy Shaw for the call.
It's a beautiful morning here at Road Atlanta, the newly named Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta for the Moto Petit Le Mans weekend. The field of 22 LMP3 prototypes are rolling. Let's remind you where we are. Road Atlanta, Brazelton. Depending on traffic, an hour and a half to 2 hours out of central Atlanta. 2.5 miles around a 12-corner circuit that's barely changed in the over 20 years that I've been coming here. The character of this circuit is one that demands respect and brave driving if you're going to make progress. Uphill turn 1 is barely a lift and a dab on the brakes. Turn 6 and 7, opportunity to make up space and places, and down the hill into the turn 10 complex, another place where potentially you can make up ground. It's John Hindhaugh and Jeremy Shaw. I'm trying to fill in for Brian Till, who's not with us this weekend. Our thoughts are with him as he recovers. Brian, get well soon. The headset is sitting right here on our right-hand side. You can't be replaced. Behind the BMW safety car, the cars are trying to warm up their Michelin tyres. It's a packed crowd here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, and it has been since Wednesday. If the people who are camping haven't got an RV, they've brought boats to camp out in. It's a fabulous party atmosphere, and Fast Friday now is going to get underway, and it will be the side-by-side start for Stephen McAleer and Mike Skeen on the front row, Matt Bell and Rodrigo Fluker behind, and Jerry Crouch. Lovely looking start as they come under the Fox Factory 120 bridge. Down under the Michelin Performance start line, and it's green, and we're racing down towards the first corner. Beautiful, very even start. 1, 2, 3 across the track as our pole sitter in the Norma, Mike Skeen. It was an old Norma front row that got underway up over the skyline at turn 2. Tricky here on very chilly mornings. It's still in the shade there, and the Michelins will not be up to temperature and pressure yet.
Yeah, there's Dylan Murray. They're trying to make up some ground after the off yesterday. Qualifying, bounces over the curbs at turn 3, gets away with it. Great start though for Matt Bell, who's up into second place, having started on the inside of row 2 on the grid. He's now pressuring Stephen McAleer as they head toward turn 6. McAleer, though, defends to the inside line. That means that Bell has to go to the outside. Is he going to dive for the inside at turn 7? No. McAleer has that covered as well. Standard
operating practice. The start is under review. That doesn't necessarily mean that anything was noted by race control, but they'll have a look at it anyway. Down the long back straight. Not a camping position or an RV site to be had. It's been sold out for a very long time, both sides of the track. Down in the braking area, huge dive to the outside by Matt Bell, excuse me. So he goes around the outside, can't get that done. Now heading up under the bridge. Now coming down to the end of lap 1. It's been a brilliant opening lap for Stephen McAleer. Goes through. Start still being reviewed as they go through. Then McAleer, Bell, Mike Skeen dropping back into 3rd position on that first lap. Then Fluker, Leo Lamelas, Dylan Murray, David Grant. So 3 Normas in the top 4 there, Jeremy, as they go through. Really good to see a couple of different chassis. At one stage, we had all of the chassis available in this championship. Coming to the start then, what happened? Well, it was a pretty good one and pretty clean, but just a better start from the inside of the front row, and that was very clean indeed going up the hill.
Yeah, it certainly was, and we've seen in the past that the Norma, it's a really slippery car, but it does take a little bit longer to get its tyres, his Michelin tyres, up to optimum working pressures and temperatures. And I think that's probably what we saw there with Matt Bell able to take advantage of Mike Skeen at the start there. Mike Skeen has not done the full championship this season. Matt Bell has been driving LMP3 cars for several years now, but he's under intense pressure here as Skeen tries to go around the outside.
Oh, that's not going to happen, is it?
Well,
slide, spin! 23 car goes around the bright red Norma. And Mike Skeen all of a sudden facing the wrong direction. He's on damp grass. There's been a heavy overnight dew, slick tyres, damp grass. It's not a great combination, is it? But he gets the Norma pointing back in the right direction. But he is absolutely bleeding track position. Down the hill with a front headlight that's a little bit blinky at the moment. Now, was the contact there? Oh, I think might have just been on the curb, which will be damp this morning. It was very close, Jeremy.
Yeah, no, that was fair enough. I mean, it was Skeen trying to go around the outside of the first part. He has the inside of the second part. It's good hard racing between these two. Mike Skeen there tries to get the power on, and as I say, he's not probably got those Michelin tyres, the rear tyres really where they need to be to have their ultimate efficiency, and he just lost control on the throttle there. Just a great move, a great attempted move by Mike Skeen. Didn't quite come off, but that has left Stephen Michelin with a huge lead.
And Rodrigo Fluker, who, along with Austin McCusker, is leading the championship, and now having started this race unofficially, has enough points for the championship. He was right behind that and just missed the back of Skeen's car as it rotated down into the braking area and through turns 10A and 10B. The number 4, red, white and black Ligier under attack. That is Leo Lamelis, and Dylan Murray makes the pass, makes it look very easy as well. Low sun in the early morning here, which may well be just worrying some of the drivers. My goodness, what a cracking start. Leo Lamelis then dropping behind Dylan Murray. That's down to 5th position. Now let's check out some of the other positions for you. It is still Stephen Michelin that leads by 2.3 seconds, the 43 from the 64. Matt Bell in 2nd place, the first of the Ligiers. Then Rodrigo Fluker, champion-elect. Basically, he started the position, started the race, and therefore has the points he needs. But we'll leave that to be confirmed, of course. All kinds of post-race tech has to go on. And here are some penalties coming through. John Brownson, jump start penalty drive-through in the number 2 car. And in the number 86 car, Dave House further down the field in the Ligier, he'll also get a jump start drive-through penalty.
Yeah, 2 cars right at the back of the pack. They started in 17th and 21st place respectively, so nothing significant at the front of the field. What is significant,
too anxious, those 2 guys to make up.
Well, yeah, it's pretty chilly. They want to get going. Yeah, no messing around here, particularly for Dave House. But up front there, Stephen Michelin, he's kind of plain sailing out the front there. But what the man on the move is Rodrigo Fluker.
He certainly
is. Set in the last 2 laps, each of them he set a new fastest lap of the race. He's in 3rd position, right behind Matt Bell, and he wants past. And you know, the Norma chassis really does seem to have a pretty good advantage these days. Right now, the Ligiers are struggling.
And here is Leo.
That's John Brownson.
Sorry, no, it's John Brownson coming in for his drive-through.
Yeah.
Sorry, similar colours to Leo Lamelis that we were watching earlier on in the number 4 car. Stephen Michelin not providing any excitement at the moment because he's driving away steadily. Last lap of 1:17.6, another fastest lap of the race. Matt Bell and Rodrigo Fluker are the excitement. They are Messer's excitement at the moment.
Yeah, but closing in on those 2 now is Dylan Murray.
Yes,
he had an off yesterday in the qualifying session, went off at turn 5, so qualified down in the 8th position. But that's a fast car. MLT Motorsports, Dr. Mike Thompson from Atlanta, locally based team. And Dylan Murray, he's a locally based driver as well, so he knows this track well. His father, David, had a massive amount of experience here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, and Dylan has been a sponge in terms of learning, and he's now put the pedal on. For a couple of laps ago, he had briefly had the fastest lap of the race, and he's trying to track down that battle for second place between Matt Bell and Rodrigo Fluker. Matt Bell is clearly struggling to keep the faster Norma behind him, but oops.
Number 70
Janko,
has gone off. That's the PR1 Matheson Motorsports. Joel Janko and Jonathan George paired up together, sitting 12th in the overall championship, but leading the Bronze Cup. Full course yellow comes out immediately. Double flags. Yeah, it's right in the firing line at the bottom of the hill at turn 10A. That'll be Locks Rears, I'm guessing, coming in there. Just getting the back end coming around. Yeah, maybe just a little bit optimistic still in the cooler area of racetrack underneath the shade of the trees there on driver's right. And almost sort of think if he'd floored it there and spun it completely around and not got the Michelins into the gravel, he might have had a little more luck. Already the IMSA AMR safety vehicle, the Cayenne, Porsche Cayenne, has pulled onto the track to make sure everyone coming down the hill knows what's going on, and will provide some cover for the snatch vehicle to tow out that car. It shouldn't take much, to be honest. I don't think this is going to be a long yellow. Just hearing from race control, by the way, more from the starts. The 47 Motorsport car, which started at the back, Wyatt Schwab and Nico Rieger. It's Wyatt started that car. He's had a really good start. He's up to 13th position. That's going to disappear. Incorrect starting driver. Stop plus 30.
Yeah, I thought they'd nominated Nico Rieger to start the car. It must have been a late change of mind there by that team. I tell you what, nothing has gone right.
They could have had either driver because they didn't qualify, so they just had to nominate someone and stick to it.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. So what they could have done was, what's the penalty?
Stop plus 30.
Ooh, goodness gracious, that's actually going to kill that then. But yeah, I mean, what they could have done, they could have, if they'd informed race control, that would have been fine, I believe. They would have started at the back.
Anyway,
so would have been no penalty. But yeah, you have to nominate your starting driver, and that is the way.
Right about now, their team manager at 47 Motorsport is saying, "No, honestly, I sent the email, and here's the receipt."
Yes.
That's what's happening, and they're going back through their inbox and outbox. I guarantee that's what's happening at the moment, because that car up to 13th with Wyatt Schwab, and with Nico Rieger still to come in that car, and also, of course, behind the BMW safety car. Everyone will pack up now. Can we get that number 70 machine of Joel Janko? Well, he's had a chance there to pull out in front of the safety car and not lose another lap. I think he's dropped one already. Yes, he has. But now he's in there with the rest of the rest of the cars, and he'll have to drop back into line.
Yes.
And will he get a wave by here?
Not if he was behind the safety car.
Well,
no.
he pulled out in front of the safety car, but then went onto the grass. Safety car lights are out. We are ready to go racing again here at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. And for the final time of asking in 2019, the IMSA Prototype Challenge drivers in their Normas and Ligiers are warming up the Michelin tyres, or at least cleaning them off, perhaps. The 23 then, sitting down the field, Mike Skeen, has dropped back since the start, down to 10th position.
Well, no, he had to spin, remember, trying to get second place from Matt Bell. Spun, rejoined in the 17th position, so he's made up 7 places since then.
Back to green flag racing, and a fantastic jump from Stephen McAleer, who was controlling the field. Matthew Bell has got a little bit of a gap back. Oh, we've got a spinner coming to the green flag, and that's the number 75 car. That's the Performance Tech Motorsport car. And who started that car, Jeremy? Was it Cameron Castles? It was. What an unusual mistake for Cameron to make on cold tyres coming out of turn 10B.
I'm not sure what happened there, because when the rest of the group came around, the number 70 car was kind of in the mix of that. So whether there was a big gap from the car that 75 had been following, which number right behind him was the number 19 and 55 before they got to the restart, but a lot of shuffling around there. So I think, yeah, don't know what happened. Messy.
Yes, messy, good word. Stephen McAleer, perfect at the moment, not messy at all. Absolutely shape for the Norma M30 driver in that number 43 Robillard racing car. Stephen McAleer now living in the USA, started his career by coming across and doing some race schools and then going back to his native UK and stacking shelves in a supermarket. That's what he did to raise the money to come racing. Proof, if there ever was needed any, Jeremy, that if you have got the desire, you will literally do anything to get your race budget together. Cross the line, looking racy there. Blake Mount having a look at Chris Wilson. They were side by side as they went down into turn one, but McAleer's got the hammer down. Matthew Bell in second position with as much breathing space as he's had for a while, but Rodrigo Fluger and Dylan Murray just latching onto the back of the second place Ligier, the number 64 K2R Motorsports car. Then a little bit of a gap back to the rest of the field. Great battles as ever going on down the field. Looking at the bottom end of the top 10, David Grant in the number 40. Cars all around him, the green and black car, and then up the inside, here comes the number 9 of Jerry Kraut trying to make positions there into turn 6. 9 car moving slowly. That is Jerry Kraut, and I don't think Jerry's going to get that car back to the pit lane. Scott Andrews, local to the Atlanta area, will not, I think, be able to get in that car today. Coming down to, well, has Jerry got it into the pit lane?
He has.
Yes, he has. It's ticking over, but barely. Is this a pit stop? He's pulled the car in at a jaunty angle.
Doesn't seem to be any
no, I think there's a problem.
Urgency.
He went off at turn 5 last time around. Whilst we've got the opportunity, and before something else happens, Jeremy, we should explain the pit stop procedure here. A new set of rear Michelins. They're having a bit of a wobble on the tyres there, so maybe Jerry feels there's something not quite right with the car. He's going to drop another lap. Pit stop procedure. Everyone has to stop. Whether you change drivers or not, and have to come down into the pit lane and spend a mandated amount of time in the pit lane. So it's time from pit in to pit out. There's a slight difference. If you're a singleton driver, you have to stay in the pit lane a little bit longer, because those that make the regulations, I think rightly, have made the judgment that if you're in the car and staying in the car, you're hot, you're race ready, you know the track conditions, and that gives you a little bit of an advantage on your outlap. So for 2 drivers, the pit stop is allowed to be a little bit shorter. Minimum drive time is 40 minutes. So we'll see the guys begin to think about their pit stops shortly.
It's only a couple of minutes from now. And again, that once the tyre's up to speed, Stephen McAleer edges away on this lap around. The guy on the move there remains kind of a 23, Mike Skeen. He found a way past Leo Lamelas a couple of laps ago, and he's now going to try and reduce that deficit to the top 4. 4 seconds it stands at the moment between number 23 in 5th position
it's a good drive
number
back,
54.
that.
It's a great drive back.
Helped by a couple of safety cars, but you take that assistance when you get it, Jeremy.
Yep.
Jeremy Shaw and John Hindhaugh in the IMSA broadcast booth right on the start-finish line at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta for Motul Petit Le Mans weekend in the IMSA Prototype Challenge finale. The man that is normally standing where I am, actually slightly to the right of where I am, is Brian Till. Brian, wish you all the best, my friend. You are much missed by everybody here in this paddock. Good luck with your recovery. Your headset awaits. And you're welcome back as soon as you feel able to come back and join us.
Yeah, and he put a great Facebook post. There's a quick spin there for Michelin, I think that is, in car number 30, making his return to the series this season. The last time he drove a car, other than a test here last week, was at Le Mans in the Michelin Le Mans Cup LMP3 race.
Hit the curb on the inside of turn 7, and that's what unsettled that number 30 Sean Creech Motorsport car. Nice sharing with Wayne Boyd this weekend.
He's a talent.
Man from Northern Ireland. So the key point here for pit stops is minimum drive time of 40 minutes, which we will have reached in 53 seconds time. Despite the fact that we started behind the safety car, the clock of the race started, therefore the drive time started. Now, no minimum pit stop time for this race. So that is basically leaving it down to the teams to turn the cars around as quickly as they can. However, only 3 person over the wall, have to have a fire bottle, have to have a driver assistant, 3 people, oh no, excuse me, there is a minimum pit stop time, of course there is, yes. 3 persons permitted to push the car backwards. 2 minutes and 30 seconds is the minimum pit stop time. I knew I'd seen that somewhere. Closed pits.
Plan for next year.
That's right.
Take that away.
Correct. 1 tyre gun only allowed, and if you come in while the pits are closed, it's a stop and 4 minutes. So 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
A new fastest lap. Each of the last 2 laps, Stephen McAleer has set a new fastest lap of the race out in front of the field. Change there for 8th position as Chris Wilson finds a way past Blake Mount, number 3 and the number 7 cars battling away. Good little battle amongst themselves. And all of a sudden that gap has extended between 1st and 2nd now to over 2 seconds.
Pit stop window is open for the leaders this time around, but of course the cars behind, it's open for them now, and we've got a couple of takers. In has come Nash Hussain and Rob Hodis.
Yeah, and they'll hand over to Wayne Boyd and Garrett Grist, respectively. And both of those 2 youngsters are very, very fast in these cars. Well, in any cars, come to that. But they fancy themselves to be able to make a move through the field. And if there's another full course caution, that's certainly going to bring them right back into contention.
They've come in at the first available opportunity. The leaders, I would suggest, Stephen McAleer, Matt Bell and Rodrigo Fluker will stay out as long as they can. New fastest lap of the race for Stephen McAleer, 1:17.2.11. Excellent stuff.
Each of the last 3 laps then, John, he's done that.
That's extraordinary. 1:17.9 was the qualifying record, and we're faster than that. Kenton Cook in the Ligier set that back in 2017. Our race lap record was from last year, and that was Garrett Grist, also in the Ligier, 1:18.3. That's a very, very long way away already, more than a second quicker than the race lap record. Our qualifying time here was a 16.8. So that'll tell you just how quickly these cars are going on the Michelin rubber. And there's been some new sealant put down at various parts of the circuit, Jeremy, which all of the drivers are seeing makes a big difference, particularly coming out of turn 7 and getting onto that long back straight. Yeah,
and through the chicane here at 10 and 10A as well. And plus, conditions this morning are absolutely perfect. Crisp and clear, the engines breathe well, the track still has plenty of grip, and the conditions right now could not be any more conducive for fast lap times.
Assistance from behind the wall for Jerry Kraut when he came in. In fact, that car's still in the pit lane. Jerry's not moved, so I don't think... no, excuse me. He's just rolling. Now, that is going to be a drive-through for the number 9. And he's serving that immediately. And don't forget, we've got a penalty for the number 2 for an incident responsibility, causing an incident, and that is John Brownson. So let's keep an eye on that. Just over an hour still to go. I presume, Jeremy, Stephen will stay in until just shy of the 40-minute mark in the number 43, the Robillard Racing, before he makes his pit stop.
Yeah, I mean, the critical thing about this now is when if there's another full course caution, because you cannot make your pit stops under full course caution.
Good point.
So there's sometimes an advantage to staying out, and sometimes there isn't, and it's just there's all sorts of factors that come into play. So it's a difficult strategic decision sometimes to have to make. But for car number 43, Stephen McAleer, no problems whatsoever. He's just cruising away now into the sunrise as he heads towards turn 1. The sun is still pretty low in the sky.
Max Hanratty, the Milwaukee, Wisconsin resident, jumping into the Performance Tech Motorsport number 7 that Blake Mount had been pedalling with some gusto early on, not without incident. Now under 40 minutes to go. Black number 74 car pulls to driver's right. That's Garrett Grist in the 47 Motorsport car. And the outside. That's a nice pass there, and that was a pass for position. Chris Wilson back out, but on cold tyres. Chris in the white and black car has led the race. The GR3 Racing team, but now of course he's going to be easy mate for a couple of laps, and Garrett having gone through Tonis Casamates as well. Tonis Casamates in the 60 car will be the next one to go, the black and silver car, and behind that I think I caught a little glimpse of what should be the 40 car coming through, the Grant Brothers car, the Polestar Motor Racing Inc. car. That's the bright yellow car. No connection at all with the European concern of the same name, Polestar, who do a lot of motor racing and have done Volvo touring cars in the past, and now have their own automotive brand, putting together some very clever electric vehicles, but not the same company.
No, this Polestar Motor Racing Inc. over here is based up in the Cleveland area. Jim and Pam Griffith, who've been in the sport a long, long time. They've run particularly Formula Atlantic cars back in the day. They run people like Buddy Rice and Alex Barron and Memo Gidley, who all went on to good success in the IndyCar series. Been around the sport for a long, long time, and they ran the Grant Brothers in Atlantic cars in sort of glorified club racing, if you like, nowadays perhaps, but you know, it's a great organisation, and they run a good car.
Jeremy making the point that I was about to say, they were the original Polestar.
Yes. Yes, they've been around for a while, Jim and Pam. They're super people and very talented team altogether, and the Grants, you know, doing a nice job there, hanging on there, involved in that pretty good scrap going on there for the sort of lower reaches of the top 10.
Yeah, that was Garrett Grist who went through before. So yeah, that's 8th, 9th and 10th. Exactly so. And, just sitting outside the top 10 at the moment, that bright yellow number 40 car. And now that Chris Wilson's got the temps and pressures up on the Michelin tyres on that white and blue Ligier, he may be able to do a little bit more defending. He could defend against the other two cars who came up to him. So pit stops are out of the way for everybody. So what we have is a true picture. And as that battle for 10th position continues down into turn 10, Stephen McAleer holds on to an 8.6 second lead. The first time for a long time he lost some time to second place there. Mike Skeen took 0.3 of a second out of him the last time around, and he's going to take about the same this time around if he continues. Matt Bell is in third, a further 2.5 seconds back. So Norman, number 43, Stephen McAleer in that blue urban camo-like colour way for the 43, leads it for Robillard Racing. Then Mike Skeen in the Norma number 23 in second place. That's the Gilbert Korthoff Motorsports car, the red and white machine. Just
heading through turn 1 now, and he's a couple of seconds ahead of Matt Bell, who's in third position, and a similar margin behind him in fourth is Dakota Dickerson in that number 54 car, and he had been closing up on Matt Bell, had Dakota Dickerson, not any longer. The gap seems to have stabilised.
Yes, absolutely right. He had a good couple of laps out the pits, Dakota. 2.7 seconds away now from Matt Bell. Matt Bell in the 64 K2R Motorsports car, and Dakota Dickinson in the number 54. That's the MLT, Michael L. Thompson Motorsports machine.
Dr. Mike.
Skeen, the man on the move at the moment, and he can see the leader. No, he probably can't, actually. He's 8 seconds up the road. There's a huge screen on the top of the Michelin Tower, and a few of the drivers have been saying to me, when they get a moment before they have to gird their loins to come down the hill towards the final corner, as into the pits comes Kyle Masson in the number 19 Ligier. That's the car that Dean Baker had the issues with earlier on for Performance Tech, and that car had damage to the right rear. And he is stopping at his pit box. So there's that 64 car with the red top on it. That is the man from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Proud Geordie, as is his brother Rob, also a very successful racing driver. Then the black and red of Dakota Dickinson coming through. The white flashing on the top of that car. And here comes Wayne Boyd. Boyd's had a fantastic first couple of laps. There was at least 2 or 3 lapped cars he had to get by, Jeremy, maybe more. And he's already onto that lead quartet. 5 cars now through the S's behind Wayne Boyd. Neil Alborego's not that far behind either, Jeremy, in the number 4 car, the IMSA Motorsports machine that he took over from Leo Lamelis. So now we've got a 20-minute battle between all of these extremely talented drivers. Oh, Boyd looking down the inside, wanted to make a move early on Dakota Dickinson, and he's got through.
Yeah.
He's got through, started that going into 7. That was, I thought, looked a little opportunistic, but he made it stick. Came straight onto the back of Dickinson, didn't give Dickinson the chance to realise what was going on, and made the move early. New 4th position. Wayne Boyd, the Northern Irishman.
Yeah, it's a great restart by Wayne there. He made up quite a deficit after getting past a couple of slower cars at the restart. So he's now going to set his sights on Matt Bell in 3rd position.
Dickinson's got a puncture and he's off at the final corner. Dickinson was struggling. The 54 car is off. Alborego was going through. I'm guessing it was a left front puncture on that car. Maybe a right rear's down as well. But certainly had an issue. He couldn't get the car to turn. Now, was there a touch then back at turn 7 when that pass was made? The car just didn't look right coming down the hill. Couldn't get it anywhere near to the apex. And the right rear has gone on that car and straightened him into the turn 12 tyres. It's actually a really good save. Oh, it's not.
I think it was the left front.
It is the left front. That was my first. That was my first thought, Jeremy.
Or a front tyre, anyhow.
Yeah, it just didn't seem to want to turn that car. The question for me it will be, yes, definitely still air in the right rear. That was just a shadow that I could see on that car. Dickinson has opened the door. That's a sizable impact. He did get the car slowed down a little bit. The reason I thought it was the left rear was I did see it locked up, but of course that would be the right rear rather. But that because the left front will be down and off the ground.
So anything you do to try and slow the car at that stage, it's not turning. No. So anything you do to try and slow it down, and you tried to pitch it sideways, that didn't work. You tried to slam on the brakes, that didn't work either. That was a heavy impact for Dakota Dickinson. Good to see him clambering out of that car.
Well, the pass was made. I think he was already struggling halfway around that lap. There was definitely, well, there was a little bit of contact, but that was on the right, the other side of the car, the right rear.
Has that right rear broken?
I think that's the other thing that could happen.
I don't think it was a puncture. I think maybe that rear suspension was damaged to the impact.
And there was a bit of contact at turn 7, tiny.
It was a late, on the exit of the corner, it was a late lunge, and the contact was on the exit of the corner. It was kind of a block pass, but it was a late block pass there from Wayne Boyd.
I think that right rear wheel,
definitely.
When I saw it on the longer shot, Jeremy, and we can see it out of our window, it's just there. I just wonder, it looked like something might have snapped on that car. He turns it in and it's going, and then it's going. No, I'm not. And I think he's got a bit of rear wheel steering there and not helping him round the corner.
Yes.
He's right underneath us here. And the wheel's at a wee jaunty angle. You know, tyre barriers might not be look the most sophisticated, but I think that's done a really good job there of taking the worst of the impact away, dissipating the energy from that Ligier as it went in. What a shame for Dakota Dickerson. First mistake by the leader, and Skeen right on it, down the inside through the S's. Can you get 2 cars wide? You can't! And oh my goodness, Stephen McAleer has made his first mistake, and it's cost him first position. It may cost him second and third too, as through goes Matt Bell. Just a mistake at the top of the hill, went too deep into turn 2, and here comes down the inside Neil Alberico as well, as he tries to make up position. McAleer goes from 1st to 4th, it could be 5th yet. What a mistake there by the man who has dominated this race. The Scotsman now living in the States. My goodness, it was the tiniest of errors. And Skeen, with 5 minutes to go, has been handed the race. He's had to fight for it. He put himself in position. If you're not in it, you can't win it. We were talking about cliches, and Skeen put himself back in it there. And he is going to win it as it stands right now. Mike Skeen, what a fight back. Spin to win. Is he doing the Danny Sullivan here in the final race of the IMSA Prototype Challenge? Scene of the crime for Stephen McAleer was the top of the hill. That's where he's coming to now. Maybe that Norma just didn't want to turn for him. It was 2 Michelins on the left-hand side that hit the Georgia clay, and from that point his momentum was slowed up. Tiniest of error at the top of the hill gave Skeen an opportunity to come through in 3, and then the leader's offline. He's in the dirt, he's in the marbles, and the car simply wouldn't turn on those cold tyres.
It won't. That's just it's so treacherous on the restarts too. It's still relatively cool here. It does take time to build the heat back into these Michelin tyres, and Stephen, he'd cope with that so well through the earlier start stages of the race and through those restarts as well, but it's cost him there.
Mike Skeen by nearly 2 seconds. Matt Bell in second is the best of the Ligiers from Wayne Boyd. McAleer down to 4th, and under pressure still from Neil Alberico in the number 4 Ligier. Well, he's pulled out a bit of a gap there. Now, McAleer's going to do well to even get on the podium after dominating this race. Cliché number 147 here in this hour and 45-minute race. It's not over till it's over.
Well, that's very true. There's going to be another couple of laps here for Mike Skeen to make sure he doesn't make a mistake. He's already made one earlier in the race. He's come back from that absolutely brilliantly, and it was he that put the pressure on Stephen McAleer, and that's what it pushed McAleer into the one mistake, and Skeen is going to take advantage of that. Hugely experienced. He hasn't done the whole season in this Gilbert Kolthoff Motorsports car, but when he has done, he's made it count. He's been on the front row every time he's started this car, and it looks like he's in position here to get the job done, and that would be a tremendous result for Mike Skeen and this team.
Second place at the moment is still not by any means settled, with a couple of laps to go. Matt Bell holds it.
Yeah, he maybe has weathered the storm a little bit, because certainly Wayne Boyd was super fast at the restart, but particularly turn 7, that Matt Bell was wise to what was potentially going to happen there. He closed, make sure the door was absolutely slammed shut. There was no way for Wayne Boyd to make a lunge to the inside. Still under pressure though.
Alberico there having to pass some traffic. And yeah, that is the number 9 car that's in there. I thought I saw that earlier on.
Yeah. And
that's Scott Andrews, actually with good pace amongst the leaders.
Very much so. He's actually set the fastest lap of the race quite a while ago. He's taken over that car from Jerry Kraut, who had some problems earlier on.
And that, for the moment, had stopped Neil Alberico getting closer to the leaders. Austin McCusker and Alberico having a cracking battle for 5th and 6th position, but with that Scott Andrews, number 9 Norma, in between them at the moment, as Alberico just made the pass into 10 last time around. 90 seconds to go. It'll be white flag. Yeah, it will, but I think it'll be a white flag this time around. Mike Skeen, a get-out-of-jail-free card was played there, wasn't it? If you're going to have an incident, get it done early on. Played the strategy perfectly. Some people will say, I'm sure, oh, well, he was lucky because of the safety cars. Yeah, OK, but you take that, Jeremy. He still had to deliver. Their pit-stop tactics worked really well, jumped him into a solid second position. That gave him the opportunity, put him in position as we start the final 2.54 miles of the IMSA Prototype Challenge Series. It gave Mike Skeen in that number 23 car for Gilbert Korthoff Motorsports. It gave him the opportunity to put pressure on the leader. And if you're there and the leader makes a mistake, you can take advantage. If he'd been mired in the field, he wouldn't have been able to. Yeah, simple as.
That's exactly right. It's been a really, really good driver. Well-earned victory for Mike Skeen here. Quite a few people have made mistakes during this race, including Mike Skeen, but he's come back. He's had the car underneath him. He's got the experience under his belt as well, and that has all played to his favour. He's done an absolutely super job after that early little miscue.
Should say that the car suffered no damage whatsoever, and that immaculate red and white Norma looks exactly as it did when it rolled off the truck. Might have a little more dust on it, but that's about all, as Mike Skeen then has 3 corners to go. 3 testing, challenging corners at the end of the 2.5-mile Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta lap, and the end of a grueling IMSA Prototype Challenge season. It will be Mike Skeen and Gilbert Korthoff Motorsport on the top step of the final race of the year. And by 3 seconds at the end, he's driving away from Matt Bell, who fought a fantastic rearguard action in the number 64 car. Another singleton drive there for K2R Motorsports. Wayne Boyd across the line in 3rd position, but with still an investigation on there. Wayne and Naja Hussain are on the road for St. Creech Motorsports, 3rd position. That's a provisional top 3 for you, with Stephen McAleer in 4th position as they came across the line, having led all bar the last 4 laps.
Yeah, heartbreaker for him. Yeah, 5 laps to go was the pass for the lead. Heartbreaker for him. And actually, hot on his heels, by the way, at the end of this, really hot on his heels, was Scott Andrews. You talked about him a little while ago. He's been working his way through the pack. He set the fastest lap of the race on that final tour, did Scott Andrews. But it's the Normas are looking good here. But what a great result for Mike Skeen.
Welcome back to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, where the 2019 IMSA Prototype Challenge season is in the books. Let's hear from the winner, Mike Skeen, and the series champs, Austin McClusker and Rodrigo Fluker.
It was awesome. You know, we were both still kind of on cold tires a little after the restart, and he just got a little bit deep into turn 3. You know, he's running an awesome race up until that point. Just let a small window open, and I got a little pushy, you know, with no contact, but had to make an aggressive move. I knew he was going to close the door if I didn't go for it, so I had to take the chance when it opened up, and it worked out.
Really happy. This was our main objective since the beginning of the season. Last year we were teammates, but not in the same car, you know, so we made a really good group with 47 Motorsport and Garrett, so we are really happy to be here.
That's the main goal going into the season, win the championship. That was our mindset since the start. I came in 2nd last year in the championship, so there was only one place better, and we did it this year, so it makes me super excited. Garrett, Rob, Rodrigo, Mike, everyone on the 47 Motorsports did a great job.
Mike Skeen, the red and white Norma M30 in what's been a great season for Norma here in the IMSA Prototype Challenge. He rounds off a season where he's not always been on the grid, but when he's been there, he has made an impact in the best possible way. Did it the hard way today, qualified up front, then got turned around early on, fought his way back through, and along with the Gilbert Korthoff Motorsport team, had the right tactics to get him back in the fight. The runaway leader for all of the race, Stephen McAleer, tiny mistake from McAleer, just put his wheels on the grass at the top of the hill at turns 2 and 3. And Skeen was there in the wheel tracks on the restart after a fantastic restart for him, winning overtaking manoeuvre, top step of the podium. Jeremy Shaw and Brian Till have been bringing you all of the action. I stand here for Brian at the moment and say thank you to all of our production team.
And with that, we put a bow on the 2019 Prototype Challenge season. We'd like to congratulate the champions Austin McCloskey and Rodrigo Fluker on an outstanding campaign. We hope you enjoyed the series as much as we have. So for John Hindhoff and Jeremy Shaw, I'm Lee Diffie saying thanks for watching.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of the International Motorsports Association. We would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.